Kenny, do you have a camera at your computer?
I do. I'm trying to figure out how to make it work.
Maybe look on the lower left side. There's a video that's got a slash through it, red slash through it.
Aha.
Good morning.
There you go.
There he is. Good morning, Kenny Pierce.
Well, good morning. It is indeed a good morning. We're all alive and here.
That's right. I agree. Yes, sir. Good morning, Dr. Fennerwell. Good morning, Dr. Park.
Good
Yeah,
morning.
good morning. Good morning,
Good morning.
Dr. Duncan. Good morning, Dr.
Rick
Fenwell.
Livingston.
Good morning.
Good morning, everybody.
Hmm.
Good morning, Dr. Best.
Good morning, Dr. Best.
Good morning.
Okay.
We'll go ahead and get started. There's two things I wanted to do this morning, and I want to open it up because I want some discussion on areas that you might have concerns about or need some assistance with, and that's why I'm here. I'm by no means an expert in this technology. I've used some of this for many years. Zoom, for example, I've used for a number of years, both here in my former institution, but and I'm learning every day, it seems like, and using that platform, which is a great platform. So what I wanted to do, and I'm going to use this, 2 or 3 features in Zoom this morning to make sure that we're introduce them to you if you've not used them before. I have, and you can, if you don't have a button on the bottom of your screen in Zoom that I'm referring to, then when we get out of this, when we close this session, you can go into your settings and you can scroll through that list of items and check some of the things that may not appear this morning that you want to use for your classes. And there's quite a few options for you, again, in the settings of your system. This particular version of Zoom is one I've been using for a number of years. It's a free version. It's not the Tennessee Tech version, so I'm not limited to 40 minutes as we are with, I believe as we still are with the Tech version, unless they've updated that for us, and I don't know that, if they've changed that. So let's go ahead and what I'll do is share a few things in Zoom. One of the things you can do that can help cut down on feedback, and we've seen that in some of our recent meetings at Tech, is that in the settings you can check to mute your participant's mic as soon as they enter the room. And that can cut down on some of the chatter and the feedback if that's a problem. So that might be something to consider when you're using this tool is, again, you can check to mute their microphone, and you can control that throughout the presentation. If you look at the bottom of the screen, when you pull your cursor down in Zoom and you see those buttons along the bottom, there is, I'm going to get out of the chat here for just a minute so I have a bigger screen. There is an option to mute the participants. You can also modify or mute their video as well if you want to do that. I don't know if I want to do that, but you can if there's some chatter, if there's noise in the background. I had very interesting in using this technology. I use it for my global seminar class in the summer. And last summer, I had a young woman who was actually preparing dinner in the kitchen during class. And she had her earbud in, and she was nodding, and she was she was listening. And I eventually muted the mic because we didn't want to hear whatever was in the pot cooking. She's a very interesting young woman, and she was engaged. But I'm not a multitasker. There's no way I could prepare a meal and really take away the lecture. So interesting. But anyway, that's one of the things while I'm talking about that. I had sent you an article Sunday, and then I took an abbreviated version. I cut and pasted some of the sections of that article and emailed it to you in a Word doc yesterday. I'm going to try to pull that up in a few minutes, but that's one of the recommendations of the article and of other articles and studies that have been done for decades in online learning, is that really, it's really important to have a live session with the students. And in our case, I believe it's even more important because, and I'm talking from experience from my previous institution, they didn't sign up for an online class. All right, and so we're going to have a little bit of kickback or a pushback, excuse me, from our students. A number of years ago, I tried this for about a 3-week period, kind of a test run in one of my classes. And the feedback I got from them was, I signed up for a class to be in there with you. I didn't sign up for this class to watch you online or et cetera. So I truly believe it's going to be important that we find a time, whether we do it during and I'm going to do it during my normal lecture period for now, unless there's a better time for my students, but we will have live sessions every week, in addition to the material in iLearn. So just food for thought on that, to keep them engaged, because I think they'll enjoy that. I know some folks are recording. Brian, Dr. Leckie has done a great job of recording lectures and voiceover on PowerPoints, and that's really helpful as well, to add that human component to it. I've never been a fan of complete asynchronous online learning. That's just my style. I want to be able to connect. I know you all are the same. You want to be able to connect with the students. And so this tool really is a great way to do that. Or FaceTime. If you've got a small group of students and they've got iPhones, you can even use FaceTime. I don't know how many you can get on at one time, but so there's other technologies out there. So I'm gonna do a few things here, and then I want to, and please stop me at any time for questions. Use the chat box if you want to. I use that often in my class. I will post questions and then have them respond in the chat box. I'm recording this session this morning, and so we'll have it available, and I do that for my classes, and then I just send them the link. So if they miss a class or they miss a section of a class, then they can go back and watch that and listen to it.
Hey, Dennis, this is
please.
Douglas. I see my name on the screen up above, but I don't see my face. Frank just put a new camera in for me yesterday. So I don't know whether you're seeing me, but I'm not seeing me.
Your camera's not turned on according to my screen.
How do I do that?
You go to the participants.
Yeah.
Well, go to the bottom bottom of the screen. It should say stop video.
Oh, it says start video.
Start video, right. Click on start video.
Hey, there you are.
Hey, good morning.
All right.
How about it?
Well, yesterday I was on Zoom training for the Senate, and I didn't have this. Who knew I had to have this camera and mic? They called Staples here, every Office Mart, Office Depot here. They called Crossville. There wasn't one to be had. And so last night, Frank said I could use it on my tablet, but the microphone on my tablet wasn't working. So in the middle of that meeting, I called Frank, and he did a whole test with me. And apparently my microphone on my tablet is not working. It says it's on, it says it's working, but it's not working. So I'm glad I got this. Anyway, he had this thing in his office. Who knew?
Perfect.
Frank's a
Great.
resource.
Awesome. Hey, Dr.
Hi,
Williams
everybody.
joined us as well. Can you hear us, Dr. Waring?
Are you asking about? Oh, there's Lisa.
Yeah,
Right.
she just came on.
Yeah, I had to use my phone. I never could get on my computer.
Okay, that's fine. I'm glad you mentioned that, Dr. Murray. That's another option for students if they're having technical issues. You know, when you send out that invitation, there's also a phone number they can dial in, and so they can still participate in the live session. They just do it on their cell phone, and so that can be a good option if they're having some technical difficulties. I guess one other suggestion.
I'm sorry, is there a server because I was using Safari. Should I maybe try a different server?
You-
Chrome or Google,
Yeah,
or does
you-
it matter?
Yeah, you could try Google and see if that works, Lisa.
When you clicked on the open Zoom meeting, did it automatically go to Safari and not to?
It wouldn't, well, my browser that I use is Safari, but I also use Google sometimes, but I couldn't get it to work with either one. It just kept spinning, kept telling me to download it. And I'm like, I already have, you know, password and all that stuff. I have an account, so I don't know why it kept telling me that, but anyway, sorry for the interruption.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Just something to consider, and we maybe think of it this morning because we're going to have thunderstorms rolling through today. A number of years ago, I was online with my class from home. A storm hit, lost our power. Class is over. So have some kind of backup plan. I had phone numbers of some of the students. I just called a couple and said, hey, email everyone and tell them, here's what you do for the rest of the evening, et cetera. And then we reconvene next week for the class. It was a graduate course and we met just once a week. So, you know, have a backup plan if you do happen to lose power while you're online with a live session like this. So let's look at some of the buttons on the bottom of the screen. So of course you just pull your cursor down and I have mine set up. I added the poll function. I don't know if you all have that or not, but you can do polls, and I'm going to show you an example of that in just a minute. You can poll your students, and I sometimes use that tool. Share screen, I think we all have that green arrow at the bottom. If not, you can add that in your settings as well.
I can push to stop you from talking to me, you know.
And then you've got, of course, the pause stop recording button. You've got the chat button. Again, I like to use that to, you know, I have found over the years, and some of you may have discovered this as well, that sometimes students have a bit of fear of talking on a camera. And so it's almost like pulling teeth sometimes to get them to jump on the microphone and chat. So I have found the chat box can be pretty effective as well for those who are hesitant to want to talk on camera, and you will find that. Then there's breakout rooms. Do you all have a breakout room button on the bottom of your screen?
Do not.
Do not. Okay. Something to think about adding when you go back into settings. And I'm going to demonstrate the breakout room in a few minutes. And then I've got a reactions button. It's just those cute little, I don't know what you call them, emojis or whatever they are, but you can click on that and they can respond if they want to with those. And occasionally I have a student who does, but most of the time they don't use it. So I'm going to do that. Go ahead, Doctor.
How do you make that bar stay put? It goes away.
It does, yeah.
Okay.
It does.
All right.
I don't know if there's a function to keep it active. That's a good question. I have to look that up. I'm going to make a note of that.
I think there must be. Mine stays up,
Okay. I'll check on that.
but I didn't do it intentionally.
All right. Sure you did, Kenny. Come on. So I'm gonna show you for a minute now the poll option, and I'm gonna open this up and launch it, and you can respond. One of the things when you set up a poll, one of the things I like about it is you can click a box for anonymous. So if you're asking a question and you don't care if you know who answered it, or if you think the students might feel kind of weird because, oh, I don't want to check the wrong answer online, everyone's going to see that, click anonymous, and then every time you just get feedback. So I'm going to go ahead and launch this, and let's give it a test. So I hope you see that. Do you have a poll on your screen?
Yes.
Okay, awesome.
There it is.
And it tells me that 85% of you have voted. Now 100% have voted. And it's got a little timer on it. I'm actually going to take a picture of this because I'm going to come back to these later, probably in an email or some additional resources. So I have it. It's recorded, but I don't want to take the time to go back through the feed and find this in my recording. So I just took a shot of it.
So the poll indicator went away when we answered.
Good. So for example, I'm looking at the screen. 57% of you, length of PowerPoint files was a concern. 71% quizzes and tests, and 14% are one of you using discussion posts. All right, so that, and that's pretty, there, now I can do this. So now you should see the results of that. Are you seeing that poll?
Kenny, you got a call.
I know.
Okay,
I'm supposed to be muted, but it's my wife, so
all right. Okay,
I don't mute her.
that's good, good idea. Good idea. All right, so again, the poll is pretty cool. You can relaunch it, you can edit it, whatever you want to do. I created a poll before we got started and just minimized it, and then I brought it up and used it. So something.
How do you find it if we want to? It went away.
That
It's
was,
not on the bottom of my bar.
okay, so we'll go back. I'll go back into the settings when we're done, Dr. Earhart, and you should
Okay.
be able to
Settings. All right.
have that available. Everyone has share screen on the bottom, I'm assuming, with a green arrow?
Yep.
Okay. So if you would, in the chat box, say yes or no to the sharing function.
Yes.
Okay.
We just speak into that chat one now. Yes.
All right, so 5 of you have responded.
You got to type into it, Dr. Earhart.
Click on it, Dr. Earhart, and it'll pop up and you just type it in. It's like you're sending me a text message.
It's not showing me that it's typing anywhere.
Did you hit the chat box?
I hit the chat box. It lit. Now it's not lighting.
At the very bottom, it says type your message here. You type it and then you hit the return on your keyboard.
At the very bottom.
Mine popped up on the right-hand side beside all the videos.
I'm not even able.
Oh, well, okay. So there's to everyone. I hit yes. I guess I have to hit enter.
Yep, there you go.
Yep.
There you are.
Now, what you mentioned that, Dr. Hart, I'm glad you mentioned that. In the chat box, you can send an individual a message by clicking on the everyone, and then it provides you everyone's name in the room. So if I want to send Rick a note, I can click on Rick and it goes directly to Rick and nobody else sees it. So it's a unique way too. If you didn't ask a question or a concern, you can do that and no one else is going to read the message. Okay.
Does that work, Mike?
Yes, it did.
All right. How about that?
It sure did.
Awesome.
Amazing.
Technology works.
I can successfully tell my boss I've had some training. Satisfying. Don't look at me like that.
Hey, if you want, Dr. Earhart, maybe I can get a certificate printed.
Oh, hey, that's what we need. Hey, Darren, get off my butt.
I'll get a little.
Oh, did I just say that out loud?
Yeah, you weren't muted.
I know. I did that on purpose, Mike.
Okay, so the share screen, I'll demonstrate a couple of things. So what you can do is you click on it and it will bring up what's on your desktop. So what I'm going to do is, or in your browser, excuse me, I'm going to click on my iLearn site for one of my classes, and I'm going to come back to you all. And I'm going to click on that, and then that should bring up my iLearn. So what it does is you click on share, and it will bring up everything you have open on your computer.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to, and there's a Word doc up here I'm going to show you in a few minutes. There's an Excel spreadsheet I won't show you because it's grades for senior seminar. There are a number of things, but I'm going to go ahead and click on my iLearn, and then you click on share, and I hope you see that. You see the iLearn page?
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, beautiful. All right, awesome.
Yes.
So then, and now it's active. So you can use this then to go through, and as you, in your class, you can then go to your page and then go through the, and I'm going to come back to this in a few minutes, and I'll run through a few things quickly before we end the session. So what I'll do is I'm going to close this, and at the very top of your screen will be a red button that says Stop Share. So you just scroll to the top of the screen and click on it, and it goes away. So I'm going to bring up that document. There it is. All right. Fingers crossed. Okay, good. Can you see that Word doc that I sent you all?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Awesome. Okay. So this is just one article I found online. There is, as you can only imagine, a gazillion articles on online learning. I liked it because it was short, and I don't like lengthy documents. I can't sit and read for very long.
If I wanted to print that, what would I have to do?
That's a great question. Can I?
I can't, it's not letting me
Yeah.
highlight it and scan it. I may have already when you sent it out initially, but I mean, if I wanted to do it from this page.
I don't think you can, Dr. Hart.
Okay.
No. And I have access, so yeah, so what I'm doing you can't do. So I don't believe you can do that.
Okay.
That's a great question, though.
You probably screen capture it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could. You would miss, if I could get everything on.
You'd miss some of it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the kicker.
I'm clicking left and right and nothing's coming up on options.
Okay.
File doesn't work. Oop, file went somewhere else to a participants.
All right, don't leave us, Dr. Hart. Don't just start clicking things, all right?
Okay.
Yeah, let's see your hands, Dr. Hart.
Yeah.
So in this first item, active learning, that's something we talked about earlier this morning, the importance of being engaged with the students. That second point, chunk your lessons, I really like that. Think about it for a minute. If you've put up your PowerPoint presentation, you've got audio with it, and this recommends about a 10-minute window. Think about one's attention span. Think about your own attention span. You put up a 35-slide PowerPoint and it covers 50, 55 minutes with your voice. Are we going to keep them engaged for that long if they're just sitting here watching Duncan talk and go through the slides? So as they suggest, about every 10 minutes, let's change the process. So maybe you stop the PowerPoint, you say, okay, I want you to click on this link, and it takes them to a YouTube video, and they watch that for 3 or 4 minutes, and then it brings them back to your PowerPoint, and then they continue. Or you have a piece where you've recorded, and I'll show you how to do that in iLearn in a few minutes, and they watch or listen to you, whatever you want to do. But my recommendation in this article and others is that just try to break it up a little
I'm
bit.
not seeing any of this.
So there's various
Just all I was seeing was the video, the people's profiles. I couldn't get this, and then I putzed around on here. And
That
audio is not.
third item, being present, that's something we've talked about a little bit.
Chrome.
You know, think about if you record all of your sessions and don't want to do a live lecture, maybe you want to do one evening a week and have a live discussion period with your students. And you could do that in Zoom. If you don't want to do video and audio, you could do live discussion board where they can communicate with you in real time through the iLearn discussion board. That could work as well. So it's completely up, to each individual and what they want to do. And then this fourth item, something that Kenny emailed me this morning about, and Dr. Lecky's been working on, and maybe others have as well, is creating multimedia assignments that challenge the students to use the technology at their disposal. And we can talk further about that in a few minutes in iWork. Any questions about this before we move forward?
I've stopped being able to work this thing. It's not going up and down and moving around or anything. Something.
This document's not?
There it is. Now it came back. Something's happening. It's just slow.
Okay.
And
So
we can actually move that document, can we?
I don't think you can.
Only Dr. Duncan can move it.
I don't, yeah, I don't think you have, you just view whatever I have on the screen.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, good.
I got a question. If I want to explain a graphical example in an economics class, what, if we're having a session where I'm just helping students, is there an easy way for me to be able to draw something and have them see that?
Yeah, let's try it. Oh man, supply and demand charts. That's I remember from econ classes.
All right.
Hundreds of supply and demand charts. So if you go to, where's my whiteboard? There's a whiteboard. I used it this morning. I'm trying to find my whiteboard.
Whiteboard.
Where did it go?
What is going on?
Oh, in share screen, I'm sorry. So you
Yes,
click on
share
share
screen.
screen again, and there is a whiteboard option. So you click on the whiteboard option. I have that. I'm not sure if you all have it.
I see it.
I do too.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I
Then
got
you
it.
hit- You hit share, and then you've got this tablet. And so
Uh-oh. Oh, you're writing. Okay.
there's my really crude supply and demand chart. All right. So you can do some unique things with it. There's a text option, so you can type in this if you want to.
So you're drawing with your mouse?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
So that's like Dr. Bear's test on his door, where he puts an equation up and shows something like that, and the question is find X, and somebody circled it and said, here it is.
There's X.
Yeah, there's X.
Perfect. So
All right, that's pretty good.
this is pretty rough. There you go. Sort of
Yes. End of the line, COVID-19.
Yeah.
No.
I didn't pay attention like I should have in econ class. I'm sorry.
I was going to say the supply's on the wrong.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Yeah.
No, hey, it's real life now, though. Supply's gone down, demand's gone up. Hey, that's the COVID-19.
Maybe the supply is a natural resource and it's being depleted over time.
There you go. I tried to delete that class on my transcript, but it didn't look good. So all right. So that again is in the share screen option.
That's great.
That is good.
See, there's a chat here. Somebody have. Okay, Rick has a question. Where are recordings saved if we record videos?
We need to get the school to provide us with a school logo to put over behind us, so that when we're not seeing the mirror and the light reflections and all my junk on my shelves and
A cluttered office.
yeah, well, there is that. Yours is pretty plain, Mike.
I'm at the farm. I've got some beans here.
There you go. Yeah, Dr. Earhart, I'm disappointed. I can't see those bearded photographs on your.
Oh, you want me to get them out?
Yeah, you need to turn that thing a little bit so we can see. There is an option, and you can explore this. I tried to do it with this old laptop this morning, and I don't have the updated software, and I need to get it from Frank or help from Frank. But you can actually, Zoom has backdrops that you can add to your system. And you can actually use your own photographs. It gives you an option of taking a JPEG file in putting it as your backdrop. So we don't see my mirror in the windows or Dr. Earhart's photographs of bearded scholars.
Beards.
I was just telling that yesterday. Most of you don't know that Donald Sutherland wears a beard.
Nice.
Did you see that? You know, or Nostradamus, you know, or this is Thomas Cole.
All right.
Who do I have here? Nostradamus, Claude Monet, Walt Whitman,
Yeah, Walt Whitman. Yeah. Okay.
David Letterman. You know, I mean, just you know, all these famous bearded people. I'm in great company.
I'm sorry, I mentioned it. So the so in the again, I guess along the bottom, the buttons I guess I've discussed some of the basics. Does anyone have any questions before we go to iLearn for a few minutes?
So if I want my students to come in, would I hit invite and put in AGHT, the course number, or what?
Now you can, yeah, good question. So the invitation, you click on that, and what it does is it sends them that URL for this link, and you have options of Gmail, Yahoo Mail, and default email, which would be your tech email account.
Okay.
So if you've got somebody who missed your first email and they're like, how do I get into class? You click on that and you can send it to them right away.
All right.
Yeah. Rick, back to your question. Where recordings saved if we record videos, are you referring to Zoom or iLearn?
Okay. I'm referring to the Zoom videos.
Okay. So when I am finished today, when I close out this meeting, a box is going to pop up and start saving this file. And you can either accept that or you can stop it from saving it. Once it's saved, it provides you with a link, and you can email that link to your students.
Okay.
Or you can upload it in iLearn, whatever you want to. And so then they've got the recording. Good question. Other questions? Okay. All right. I'm going to go back to share screen, and I'm going to bring up my iLearn page and just run through a few things. I know y'all use iLearn, so I don't want to cover something that you already use. So I thought I'd just highlight a few, some basics. One of the things I like about iLearn, if you've not discovered it, is once you've created something in iLearn, you can look at it from a student perspective. So you just click on your name and you can view as a banner student, and it will then revert it to the student's view of your class. And that's a nice feature to have so that you can just see what they see. And I sometimes use this to make sure that what I've done is they can understand what I've done, or it makes sense, etc., or they can find it easily without having to go dig through a number of links on here to find an assignment or whatever. And then you just go back to it and click on the X, and it takes you back to your view. There are different ways to set up if you have not used this extensively for course materials. An example I liked back in the fall when Dr. Green and I co-taught the intro animal science class. Well, he taught the class and I was his TA. He, in the content of the course, he put everything by exam. So he had 3 exams throughout the semester. So all of the material related to exam number 1 was in the module for exam 1. So a student would just click on exam number 1, and there are all the PowerPoints and the quizzes and the information. And so that made it pretty easy for the students to keep track. In my global foods class that I teach every summer, the folks in the library, I think actually Kim helped me do this 2 years ago, created, they called checklists. And it's divided by the modules in the class. So they created each of those modules are the case studies that I use for the semester in the class. So the student clicks on the module, and on food ethics, and you scroll down, I could put information in that description, but I didn't. There are the tasks they have to complete, And in those tasks are videos, TED Talks, resources. And so as you all know, this generation of young people, I have found really enjoy structure and enjoy having things in front of them, and they don't have to do a lot of research to find them. So there are some ways that we can organize our classes so that things are fairly easy to find. This is just one example.
I hate to have them miss the floundering that comes with not knowing what they're doing. I mean, that's the way you and I and the rest of us probably all learned, and so here we feed it to them, and they don't have to go through that trouble.
Yeah, I concur.
I'm just looking for an excuse not to have to do all this work. But I do not have good iLearn training. Billy did help me get my my 2 syllabi for this semester on somewhere. So I really thought that's what this was going to be, some more iLearn training, but I'm glad to know that I'm learning Zoom as well. And both, actually.
I'm glad you mentioned that, Dr. Hare. I want to spend a bit of time in iLearn now too, and just hit some highlights. So course materials I use, obviously it's where I put a number of things. I also like to use discussion boards. And discussion boards are fairly simple to put together. Then assessments. So I'm going to go across the top of the screen. If you can't see me moving through something here, please give me a shout. So some of you mentioned tests and quizzes. I like the quiz function. It's fairly simple to use. So you click on that, and then I've got to move just so I can move a file out of the way. So you create a new quiz, and you can give it a name. All right, there's no category yet. So add and edit questions. And then from here, you can decide how you want to create the quiz. So we're going to say add a quiz. And when you click on new question, now you have an option of all of these. The thing I like about the multiple choice is that and I'll give you an example. I've used 2 or 3 different. So you type your question in.
No.
Because I don't hear him talking anymore.
He's he's typing.
Now you can give it a points on this. All right. iLearn. All right. And you can add an answer. Oops, that's not right. Here it is. I think this is what I need to do. No.
I like that randomized answers for each student, because as long as it's doing the grading, not me.
And I think I just told it the second option is the correct answer. It's been a few months since I used it. Okay. So once they go in and complete the quiz, if you've done what I just did there, it grades it for you and it's done. So you don't have to grade it, and it even scores it, and it will, if I remember correctly, will even dump the score into the grade book if you've got it set up in the grade book. So that's a nice function. And there are different options. So if you look at it again, okay, so here's the quiz. Excuse me. And you can I'm going to cancel this out. So there's the quiz. Right now they can't see it. It's hidden. So you can create quizzes in here, and then when it's time for them to take the quiz, you can then make it available, and you can time it. If you want them, you put a date on it and a time. You give them 8 minutes, 10 minutes, 4 minutes, whatever. in that window and they complete it. And so it's a nice way to, I've used it to review previous lectures to see what they've understood and or didn't get from the previous lecture, and then I can scroll through them fairly quickly. I also use this for book chapters. Leadership class that I've taught before, I have them complete it before they walk in that morning and discuss that particular chapter. So if we're on chapter 3 today, the quiz will be due before they walk into class today, and then we can actually look at questions and discuss those quiz questions while discussing the chapter. So if you go back, I want to show you another example. So click on it, edit, add questions. Whoops, give it a name. New question. Now you've got these, I just wanted to show you these other options. I've used short answer before. I have used true false a couple of times. But of course, these you've got to take the time to review every one, excuse me, and grade them. But I've used a combination in a quiz. I've used maybe multiple choice and then what you see here, short answer. And again, you put in the points for the question and then you save it. Any questions on the quiz tool? Was that a question?
One.
All right. I think not. Is that Dr. Bagley? Whoops. Somebody's having audio and I'm not sure which one it is. Okay. So that's assessments, discussion boards I mentioned. There are a couple of ways of using these. You can use them from the assessment drop down or you can use it from the social drop down. Same thing. I like these because they're pretty easy to grade. So for example, I did this at the beginning of the semester. And so I had a getting to know you. I wanted students to share a bit about themselves. One of the things I would challenge you to do with a discussion post, if it is a question and you want them to reflect on it, be fairly concise. For example, in 25 words or less, give me your thoughts on topic X. It really does challenge them to think about, okay, gosh, I got 25 words and it's all I can list here and provide. Now, some, as you know, 5 or 6 words and they're done. All right. So you've got to set some parameters in a discussion post.
Yeah, the first time I tried that, I got 100, 150, 250s. I said, hey, you can count those words. I just refused to accept them.
Yeah, so that's a good point. So you can do that. I often, as you see there in that, what is wrong with our food system TED Talk, 2 issues they agree with, 2 they disagree with, and I said in 50 words or less, share what you believe is the main point argument of the TED Talk.
We just lost power here.
And yeah, you did.
Yeah, Richard, you're in the dark. Mike, I can't see you on the screen now. You're in the light. Oh, it's because you're out there. We're out. Power went out. Lights are out. Fans off.
There you are, Doctor. I can see you.
Yeah, I can see me. It's just that's the light you see is from the screen. There we go.
There you go. So one of the challenges of online learning is power. Ah, yeah, everybody's back now. All right.
The computer didn't go out though. It's got its own battery pack, I guess.
That's a good thing. Okay. I'll go back to my iLearn screen. So is the iLearn screen back up?
Yes.
Okay. So we've covered the quiz tool, discussion boards, and assignments. I know some of you have used this, maybe some of you have not. So in assignments, there are a number of things you can do. I'll show you. I typically use this for papers. But again, I really like the discussion post because it's a great way to get immediate feedback from the students. And again, they're fairly simple to grade. So with assignments, you
Duncan, could I ask a question about your discussion board? You indicated that they needed to respond to at least 2 other posts. Do you have a way to track that? Can you see if they actually responded automatically, or do you actually have to go into each and see, count their responses? Is there some way to monitor that?
I have gone back individually to see what. So, you know, so for what you see on the screen, it shows that people have replied, but it doesn't tell you who has replied.
Is Katie Hoskins not the replier, or is that who wrote the? It's not a TED Talk, I guess it's a Katie Talk.
Yeah. Kenny, that's a good question. I'll check on that and see if there's a way you can. I've always just gone to each discussion post and scrolled and seen who has responded, but I'll ask if you can view that without having to physically go into the post itself. That's a great point you mentioned, Kenny. I asked students to do that, and it's a great way for them to especially in this class, because some of the topics we talk about can be quite controversial.
Mm-hmm.
So I set some parameters at the beginning of the semester on professionalism, what to do, what not to do. But then I also have specific parameters where, in regards to, as you mentioned, you've got to respond to at least 2 posts or whatever it is. So they go through and read what their classmates have submitted and then continue the discussion. So back to assignments. So once you're in assignments, you can, so I'll just create a quick one here, just a rough example.
On phone and not on your machine?
No, my Google I must not be working.
Oh, well, the power went
No,
out.
Dr.
So
Baggett.
it's connected, but let's see, you're not on there now. You got knocked out.
Yes, I'll try to go reload.
All right, well, you can just sit right here.
Okay.
Hey, Dr. Bagley.
Yes.
Dump that
Morning.
chair, take the big chair, whatever. Here, let's dump this chair.
So on this first page, you can then, of course, you type in whatever you want to in that box assignment. And then you can scroll down. You can add an attachment if you want to. Maybe you've got something you want them to look
Oh,
at.
I wasn't just like you were a name like
as part of the assignment. You can record video and audio as part of the assignment if you want to. Have not used either of those tools. Typically individual, but if it's a group assignment, then you have that option there. This will show them what they have to, what kind of submission of the file.
My slides on PowerPoint. I had planned on just recording because I usually
You can do a notification email, and then you can create. So here is, let's say this is worth 100 points, and you've already got a category in your grade book. So the nice thing is, let's say it's the restaurant menu assignment module number 2. So once you've graded it, it dumps the grade into the grade book. And you're done. Then what you can do, scroll back up. Once you've got these basic parameters set, points for the assignment, where you want the grade to be dumped when it's graded, then you click on restrictions. Then here's where you set due dates. So let's say this has a due date of today or the 31st by 3 o'clock. It's going to start now. You can change the start date so you can prevent them from getting in early if you want to. You can also hide it. So you can create assignments and click on this hide box, and it won't be available to them until you uncheck it. If you want to have an end date on there, so it keeps track of, so after 7 p.m. All right. I don't use an end date. Typically, I just have the due date. And so if, once they've submitted something, if it's a minute after 3 p.m., it's going to have a red flag on the assignment. And the exact time it was submitted, which is one of the beauties of iLearn, is that it takes away the, oh, yeah, I got that on time. Well, I'm sorry. You didn't.
Validate my homework.
So it's right there in front of you. Okay. And then you can save and close it, and you've created a basic assignment. Questions on that?
Yes, I've got this set up for the class to turn in an assignment on, but I've got an odd situation right now. I have a paper that I need to give back to them that was not in iLearn. Do you think it'd just be easier to scan it and email it to them? And because I don't think that they can submit anything unless, I can't give them any feedback unless they've already submitted it within this structure. If I'm right, I haven't found a way to do it anyway.
I would suggest scanning, Rick. That's a good idea.
I think it may be simpler, just scan it, email it to them, and then the next assignment will be submitted within this assignment structure, I think.
Rick, I do know that in iLearn, you can, when you post a grade, you can add comments as you post the grade, even if it's not an assignment submitted in there.
Okay.
You can add a comment to a grade when you add the grade into iLearn.
Okay. Well,
but if it's a paper that they actually need to visually see, that doesn't help you any.
Yeah, I was going to say, if I could attach a file, that might be an easy way to make sure that each individual got their paper back. But, I think I could have posted an assignment here to the group, but I would have to post everybody's paper where everybody else could see it, which may not be that big of an issue, but I think I'd be more comfortable just scanning it and maybe emailing it to each individual to get us. And then the next assignment will be submitted here, and it'll work the way it's supposed to at that point. I've got a broken link right now, though. I've got a paper in my hand that I can't figure out in an iLearn structure how to give it back to them. If I go scan it, I don't know how to give it back to them. So if I scan it, I think I'll just email it to them. I think it'll be the easiest.
Sounds good. Any other questions on this before we move to another item? Okay, so just quick on so there's discussion boards. You can create groups if you want to. So discussion boards, you can, there's two ways to, what you can do is, let's say, for example, you've got a series of YouTube videos on livestock evaluation you want them to review, and you're going to grade them on each of those videos based on their comments. So what you can do in discussion boards is create a forum, and the forum would be eval videos. Save and close it. And then once you get there, you click on topic, and then I'm going to go back and choose that eval video. And then you can go ahead and type in, this is Colorado State University eval. All right. And then you can type your description in. You want to ask them to provide their thoughts on this class of Angus steers from Colorado State and share something else. So they'll do that. I often just click anonymous posts, all right? And then you can go up like you did with assignments. You can do restrictions so that you have them have, there's a due date. You might open it now, and then by the end of the week, they've got to review that Colorado State video, and then they're going to respond to it. And then you can go back and read their discussion posts following that. Again, you've got the attachment if you need to do that. So that is a kind of a quick overview of building a discussion post. Questions about that? So you've got forums in discussion posts, and you've got topics. So if you want to create a new forum, there you go. So you type it in, and then you can, then that's a nice way to keep things organized. So if you've got a series of, let's say with livestock eval again, we've got 4 beef videos, and we've got 6 swine videos, and we've got 100 sheep videos, because that's the most important species, right, Dr. Fenwell? So you've got 100 sheep videos you want them to watch. So you then have it structured so they can go right to the sheep forum, and then they can watch each of those videos and record their discussion by the due date, and we're done. Any questions on that? Okay, moving to the media, there's 2 options here. I'm going to show you a couple of quick things in my media, and then there's one more item, and then it's almost an hour. So what I did is I just created in here, I created a simple, there are different options. So if you can see on the screen, see the green button to the right, it says add new.
Yep.
Everybody with me?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, so if you click on that, there are your options. So this example you're seeing on the screen is a YouTube. If you want to record, and then the other option where you see my face in the room here, I did the Kaltura Express. So if you click on that, what it will do is that and it's going to take this old computer a minute to do it. Do you see on the screen it's asking me the camera? Is that showing up?
Yes.
Yeah.
So it wants to make sure it's using the correct camera. So you click on that, and it might take a minute for this old system this thing's chugging along. I need to give it a grease job so it works better.
You got one of those for my brain too?
All right, sure, yeah. I wanted to bring my Mac home. I missed my Mac in the office, and Frank, I think it's going to be a small act of, well, I'm going to have to go to the governor, I think. So I've decided we're just going to use this old laptop until I figure out something. I don't know what's going on. It says failed to allocate video source. Well, that should work. I used it yesterday. And that's how so let's go back to that. Yeah, so it will pull up, your camera will be live, and then you just start recording. And when you're done, you just save it and you title it. So what I did is a reflection on the YouTube video I wanted them to watch on Tony Robbins. So I just did a quick 8-second clip. So it gives you a chance. This is a nice feature. And this is something that Dr. Lecky's been using. You can use this to enhance or add to PowerPoint presentations. So you can go through if you want to say, okay, I want you to go to slide 21, and I want you to look at the data on that supply-demand chart, and I want you to reflect on it. What is it telling us? Go to my discussion post, and I want you to explain to me what you're drawing from that supply and demand chart. So you can challenge them to read it, listen to you, and then they can go and do a very quick, maybe you want in 10 words or less, what is this telling me about supply and demand on this item X? And you've got that. So you've got this video capability, and then the students can then just listen to it. And so then there is the video I wanted them to watch. And I'll click on that for a minute. I'll show you. So click on the add new and then go to YouTube. And so what you see in the box is then you would cut and paste the URL from your YouTube clip right into the box. So let's try this quickly. Hang with me here. We're gonna, fingers crossed. All right, let's. Are you seeing my screen right now?
Yeah.
Yes.
So what happens when you bury a fish head under something?
I'm not sure what they. I guess he's fertilizing, isn't he? He's going back a few.
Probably.
So. We want to use this video clip. I go back. Are you back to iLearn now? Are you seeing YouTube or my iLearn?
Frozen on YouTube.
YouTube.
Okay.
Now we're back.
Now we're back.
Okay. So you stick the URL in that box. And then if you want to, so I clicked on preview to make sure that it's going to work. There it is. So now you have that YouTube clip, and you can, at the bottom of the page, as you scroll down in this box, you can then put in specific directions. I want you to watch the first 9 minutes of this. All right. So they know, oh, okay, I don't need to watch the entire, whatever, 30 minutes, whatever it was. I'm going to watch the first 9 minutes, and then I'm going to complete Dr. Fennerbald's assignment based on the 9-minute video clip. And then you just click do private at the bottom. I found that to be the easiest. I've never published to seem complicated, so I just do private, and they'll see it. And then you just click save, and now that video will be saved and look like the page that I had with Tony Robbins. That makes sense?
Yeah.
So it's a nice way to enhance our lecture, enhance our materials going through YouTube. And it, as you can see, even with this old clunky laptop, it doesn't take very long to upload a video from YouTube. So I'm not going to save that. I'm going to back up. Those Herefords, Dr. Fenwell? I didn't hear you.
They were.
All right, so we don't want to watch Hereford maybe. So there is, and so if you click on, I'm going to go back, and now I want to test and make sure this looks okay. So I'm looking at it from the student view. So I'm going to go to media, and then my media, and again, it's taking me a minute. Come on, girl. Come on. Okay. Thank goodness. Here they are. So this is what the student's going to see. And so if they just click on that link, that'll take them right to the Tony Robbins PowerPoint. If they click on the Tony Robbins reflection, it'll take them to my video. Now there is, notice there, this, I didn't add it here, but if I remember correctly, it's either in this media, my media, or it's in the, yeah, I think it is in my media. You can caption. So if you have a student that needs that function, you can put closed captioning on these. And of course, you know, YouTube, you can select that. When you're watching a YouTube video, you can click on the closed captioning and so the text pops up. And it provides that option for students who need that that opportunity or that feature. So my media. So if it, I won't try it because this thing is acting up a little bit. But the Kaltura Express is how you do the video of yourself. Of course, YouTube Capture. I've yet to use. Media upload gives you an option. Let's go to that for just a second. So you can actually drag and drop a file. If you've got a media file, you might have a short recording of something. Maybe there's someone you've recorded or it's online, you can, and it's in a file form, you can dump that file here. You've got a guest lecture you recorded, you had a guest come in, you can dump it here and then they can go in and listen and or view it that way. Any questions on the media before I go to one more item?
I have some experience on the recording to the iLearn. Can you hear?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, every time I'm trying to use the Kaltura Express, it didn't work. No, at home and my office, I always use just the Kaltura capture. That's what I did because I try every computer. Yeah, I just use the Kaltura capture, but it takes a little longer. I think it's a little more stable than just the Kaltura Express. I don't know why Kaltura Express doesn't never work on the office computer, my home computer. So I've been using online courses so far. Every time just use the Kaltura capture. I think that is much stable.
So did you have to download the software to your computer?
Yes, I just downloaded it to my computer and then I just did it.
Okay.
I don't know why, because the Kaltura Express never worked. It's my just experience.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go
just
back.
Yeah, some people want to use the Kaltura. I think I'm strongly recommend you to go to the Kaltura capture. You have to download it and install it, I think.
Okay, good to know. So I would experiment with it, y'all. Maybe I was just fortunate yesterday to be able to do that from this computer. Yes, I don't know.
Yeah, I every time I try this one because I got all this in the same message. So,
all right. You know what? I just got to thinking about this. I think what's happening is that I'm in Zoom, so it can't use the camera because the camera is being used for Zoom.
mm-hmm.
I think that's the problem.
I think so, maybe.
So yeah, so try either one. I did this tool because I didn't have to download software and I wanted to do something quick. But if you have trouble like Dr. Park, then go to the other version, the capture version, download the software,
mm-hmm.
And go from there. But I found this to be, once it did work, it seemed to be pretty straightforward. So.
How long a video can the Kaltura capture handle?
Good question. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know, Dr. Park?
I think usually my class in the lecture recording about the 35 minutes and the max is 40 minutes. Usually I'm trying to cut in less than 30 minutes. So I think Kaltura, I think it's a work very well because you can just record and you can pause and you can change your screen and then you can start recording again. I think it's very important. Make sure one thing, first time I was very struggling because you make sure your audio and the video setting is very, very important. First time I recorded several lectures, but there is no voice, okay? So that's kind of some issue, but I think I think Kaltura is very, very stable, but I think yeah, I think it's okay. I think there is no maximum. I think length. The longest in the lecture was 40 minutes.
That's a very good point, Dr. Park. That's a really good reason to go back and switch your screen to the student view and
right
as a student.
Yeah. Okay.
So we see what they see.
Okay. For my case, actually, I'm now comparing to the Kaltura capture, with the Zoom, the recording. You know, I just did some separate testing right now, so using the Zoom recording. I think some Conan Pro. I think some Zoom has some good feature rather than the Kaltura capture. But Kaltura also has kind of some good feature too. I think I'm just testing. I think right now, but I think both are pretty good tool for your lecture, the recording your lecture. Okay.
Anything else before we go to course management for me?
No, let's see, what was the problem with mine is when I went down here, I had it on stop.
So if we're
Mike said click.
wanting to, and you probably have all used this, so I probably don't need to spend much time, but if you want to create, for example, here in this class, I have the modules, which are the case studies for this class. You create a module, so you go to the right to the screen, and again, it's a way to keep things structured for your students. So I just click on a module and you name it.
Taking a dump in the last 3 weeks.
And then once you've created the module, you click on that, and then you can start uploading your files. So under course management, course builder, then you click on the upload, and then you can go to anywhere on your computer and start dumping files into that module. And it's just a nice way to keep everything organized and structured. And there's some options on the left side. I don't use most of these. I just try to make it as simple as possible. So if I click on the pause, let's look at genetically modified foods.
Use your own fork.
So there are the items underneath that module you have to work on. And some of those are links to videos. And then I also will have assignments in there as well. Dr. Earhart mentioned putting syllabi in his class. So I just have a module for the syllabus, and that's all it is. This is a function. iLearnHelp is something, this is good. Something that Kim provided to me 2 years ago when she helped build this site with me. And it's just some helpful resources for the students who might be struggling a little bit with iLearn. There's my APA for papers, so there's no question because I use APA formatting. So if you do things like that to keep it structured. I put my rubrics in there as well, so they know what's expected on assignments. So it takes the mystery out of the grading process for them. Anything else on course management? So the gradebook, I guess I really can't go to the gradebook because I have student grades in here from last summer. But the gradebook is pretty intuitive. If we go, let's see if I can't just move one out of the way. Okay, so the gradebook, you can, a number of things you can do. So if you want to create, manage grades, there are a couple of things. Then when you're finished with a gradebook, this nice export tool, you can dump it into an Excel spreadsheet if you want to, and analyze information that way. So we click on entering grades. So then it gives you an option so you can scroll across in the categories and look at those categories you've already created and dump their grades in. If you want to create a new category, you just click on Manage Grades, New, and I use item. Some people use category. You can use category as well, and what that will do is you create a category, and then let's say you've got those beef management discussion posts. That's a category, and you can dump those into individual columns within the beef judging, beef eval. So you can create an item, and then I often use numeric. Some of you might use a different option. And then you just name it, And then there you can dump it in your categories. So in this class, all the assignments are dumped into module 1, which is food insecurity, I think, and then module 2, 3, and 4. So everything is organized in the grade book, depending on. So then you can scroll down, give it a points. If there's bonus attached to it, you can click on that. So maybe there's an exam and they can 100-point exam, but they could get 105 if they got the bonus correct. So you can do that so it reflects in the grade book, but then that extra 5 points will not penalize another student who didn't get the 5 points. So you can do that so that bonus can be reflected in the grade if they earned it. If they didn't earn it, those won't get penalized if they didn't get that.
Can you put separate titles on those modules so I don't have to remember which one's which?
Yeah, you can do that. You can title it
Module 1 dash with some
Test 1.
some other ID.
Sure.
All right.
You sure can, Dr. Hart. And then you've got a grade scheme here. I just do default. I have seen Melinda does percentages for senior seminar. So if you've got this assignment should be worth 10% of their grade, then you can set that up accordingly so that when it's calculated in the final grading scheme, it'll be weighed as 10% of their grade.
Oh, I've never done that.
And then you save and close it, and you're finished with that particular. I didn't name it, but you can put restrictions if you want to. You can tie it back to your learning objectives if you want to. So there's a number of things that you can do. I usually try to keep it pretty basic. The beautiful thing about this is that it takes the mystery out so the students know how they're performing. There's no excuse they don't know because it's here. If you've recorded the grade, there's no mystery of, well, how am I doing in their class? Well, it's in the grade book. And so they've got it there. And as I mentioned before, if you go in the grade book and create your categories, and they're tied, then you can link those directly back to that BEEF eval discussion post. Once you record a grade and discussion post, it gets dumped into the grade book. So it's done. And it's calculated at the end of the semester. So it takes some mystery out of the process for the students. I know it's kind of quick. Any questions on that or any of the items we've talked about this morning in iLearn?
You available 24/7 now for help, right?
That's sure enough, Dr. Bagley. I'm going to stop share, come back there so I can see Dr. Earhart and Dr. Bagley. Perfect.
I'm the one without the beard, by the way.
Oh, you are? Okay, good. I thought we hit, yeah.
I'm trying though.
Do you ride that bicycle, Dr. Earhart? I've never.
Yes, I do.
All right, good.
Right, if it's not weather like today.
Okay.
I don't like to have that wet stripe up my ass, and back, on top of my head, you know.
Yeah, it's not. I understand.
Sorry, my bottom. I didn't mean to say ass.
That's okay. That's all right. I'll try to cut that out of the recording before I send it.
Always technical term.
Oh wait, oh man, I forgot we were being recorded. That's why I never really wanted to be a director or a dean, because I'll drop that excess word every once in a while and get my butt canned.
Oh well, colorful word.
Great program. Thank you so much.
Yeah, appreciate that.
How soon will the recording be up to review?
I should in just a few minutes if this thing works
Gotcha.
okay. So, yeah. Anything else before we pull the plug?
Very helpful. Makes me wish I did that iLearn training 3 years ago.
Well, Doctor, I will get a certificate made up, and I'll get Dr. Green.
Well, yeah. Well, this is just enough for me to know how little I know and scare me some more.
You know, I'll do a Zoom certificate as well, Dr. Hart, so you can get 2 in your office.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Dennis.
All right,
Thank you, Dennis.
See y'all.
Thanks, Dennis.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
Thank you very much.
Stay safe. See you.
All right, goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.